You're listening to the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network, home of the #1 sports talk show on the planet.
This is Sports Talk with Hot Sauce, Texas Pete Hot Sauce, the Doug Stewart Show.
Broadcasting live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network. Follow Stewart Media and Entertainment right now on Facebook and stay connected and locked in for upcoming events like the Couples and Cocktails series, viewing parties, and much, much more. Up next, The Doug Stewart Show, Sports Talk with Hot Sauce.
Yeah!
Exclusively on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network.
Fantasy sports fans are winning huge cash prizes every day at DraftKings.com, America's favorite place to play daily fantasy sports. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Just pick your sport and draft your team. It's like a new season every time you play, so you're never stuck with the same players. Last year, $300 million were won at DraftKings.com, and you could be next to win big. Go to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code STEW to play for free. That's STEW for free entry now at DraftKings.com. Also, if you use promo code STEW, DraftKings will match your initial deposit up to $600. Deposit $600, play with $1,200. DraftKings.com, promo code STEW. This your boy Doug Stewart for my folks at System 5 Electronics. They're proud to offer my listeners here in the Metro Atlanta area all the way down to Macon, Georgia, the most affordable home security monitoring systems, featuring smart solutions for that busy lifestyle you lead for as low as $16.50 per month. Here's some of the reasons why you should choose System 5.
Hi, I'm Maceo Brown, President and CEO of System 5 Electronics. We take pride in making sure that security is the #1 thing that we do. And thanks to you, the customer that has supported us, we have grown this company in Southwest Atlanta, where we're creating jobs and opportunities.
Not only is their monitoring station here in Atlanta, but they also install the most advanced, up-to-date alarm systems where you can access cameras, lights, door locks, thermostats, and other devices remotely with your smartphone. 24/7 technical support, plus the lowest service call fees in the business. And check this. You own the security alarm system once it's installed. And you get direct access to the owner if you ever got a problem, Mr. Maceo Brown. Click on the banner on the Doug Stewart Show website or app for more details, or give them a call at 404-756-0736. Again, that's 404-756-0736, or online at System5electronicsinc.com. That's System5electronicsinc.com.
The blind stares of a million pairs of eyes, looking hard but won't realize that they will never see.
The puppetry must stop. We are for real around here. The trillest sports talk show in America. The Doug Stewart Show. Yes! What's happening? Yeah, this is your boy Doug Stewart. Thank you so much for joining your folk. I really, really do appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Yes! I feel good. I feel like Mickey Ficky James Brown up in here, baby. March 2nd, 2015. It's a Man Talk Monday. Yes, sir. It's a Man Talk Monday, man. Thank you so much for joining your boy on the Doug Stewart Show, man. I really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody already in the chat room. Shouts out to Sluggo, Ron Cameron, Rel Scott, Griff, RC, that Ninja Jungle Brother, Vince Wright. What up, baby? Thank you. Thank you. And a lot of stuff to get to from this past weekend. We're going to talk, obviously, some NBA, LeBron James and the Beard go at it. Some late breaking news on Donkey Kong Sue, Marshawn Lynch, Dez Bryant, NFL franchise tag talk, all of that type of stuff we're going to get into, as well as we got a pretty decent top 5 question we're going to throw out there today. But you are locked and loaded and listening live to the realest and cheerless sports talk show in America, The Doug Stewart Show. You can give me a call at 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedugstewartshow.com. Now, we got a lot of new listeners over the last couple of weeks. We've been doing a lot of new promoting and asking people to tell their friends and everybody about the show, and it's working. I mean, we're picking up new listeners every single day. Every single day. But here's what I want the dogs and the poodles and all of the Stewies to focus on today. Today, I want to get my weight up in iTunes. That's exactly what I want to do, and I don't know why they hit the drum roll, the rim shot, because it's not a funny matter. It's not a funny matter. Today, I want you to take a second to help your boy get his weight up in iTunes. And what that means is go to the Doug Stewart Show on iTunes and give me like 5 stars if you can. I would appreciate that. As well as write a quick review. And the review doesn't have to be anything but, a word or two. I love Doug. Or Doug's the greatest. Or this show is fantastic. Or something like that. So go to iTunes and your iTunes account for everybody that's got an iPhone. And we'll work on Android a little bit later. And like the show. Give me 5 stars, preferably. And the way this thing works is kind of like a domino effect. So if I get enough ratings, then they'll start to list me in the iTunes directory. And so big things can come out of it. All right, so make sure you go today at some point to iTunes and look up The Doug Stewart Show. Search The Doug Stewart Show. Give me 5 stars and write a quick 1, 2, 3-word review. I mean, hell, you can write a paragraph if you want, but the minimum you got to do is like a word or two, all right, to help your boy out, and I really would appreciate it. 404-382-0338 is the number to the show. Man, a tough weekend as far as losing greats. On Friday, it happened first with Leonard Nimoy. Spock fame from Star Trek. He passes away at the age of 83. And then this weekend, Charmaine Maxwell, Maxie, from the group Brownstone, she died tragically. And have y'all heard the news about that, how she died allegedly? Now, they're saying that there's no foul play involved with this, but I don't know. And I mean, rest in peace to her. And you remember Brownstone, was it mid-90s? Yeah, I think they're saying like 95, they had the big hit, Do You Love Me? Or I believe that's the way the title of the song was, Do You Love Me? And you remember Brownstone, but the group was fantastic, and she dies tragically this weekend, saying that she fell down and cut her neck, and she was bleeding profusely, and she died. I mean, in effect, bled out. So that was horrible. And then you knew about Anthony Mason passing away. He had congestive heart failure a couple of weeks ago, and it actually took his life. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. So real tough weekend, man. And it always happens in 3. Why does it always happen in 3? And I swear to you, when I heard Leonard Nimoy died, and then I heard about Anthony Mason, I think the Charmaine Maxwell thing was yesterday. That was the last one out of the 3. I started saying after Mason died, I was like, man, this always happens in 3, man. And I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's a low country thing, but they always say whenever a celebrity dies, it seems like it always happens in 3. And damn it if it doesn't work out like that. Okay, and so all 3 of those passed away this weekend. So man, R.I.P. to those people, as well as to their family condolences. Real tough, man. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. So I guess I started thinking about Anthony Mason, and I started hearing all these glowing remarks and people talking about the Knicks teams of the 90s and that squad that came pretty close many times, but never won an NBA championship. They didn't even make it to an NBA championship. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Now, I always go off and I talk smack about New York sports and, how are they, the mecca of basketball, and the Knicks hadn't won anything since 73. And I always kind of, talk smack about New York sports. But to be honest with you, I got a lot of respect for New York sports. And the reason I got a lot of respect for New York sports is because, through thick and thin, they support their teams. And they're very passionate, okay? And they're very knowledgeable. And I always tell the story when we used to go to ESPN pretty much every other week for over 5 years, we used to listen to local sports talk. And if you don't know, Connecticut's like situated between New York and Boston. So two of the most passionate fan bases in sports, New York and Boston. So we'd always, when we were on the way to the airport, me and Ryan, on the way to the airport or coming into Hartford or to ESPN, we turn on sports talk and listen to it. And it always amazed me how passionate people were about something that happened in the fifth inning of a Yankees game last night, or about a particular play and dissecting the play and telling the history of a player and talking about history of some of the great players in New York sports history. And it was crazy to me. Like, we love our football down here in the South. Obviously, everybody knows that. And pretty much it's about college football. And college football really isn't that big in that part of the country. A lot of this stuff is territorial. But you talk about the Yankees, and you talk about the New York Giants, and the Jets, and if you talk about New England, and you talk about the Red Sox, these fans are just crazy, crazy passionate, okay? And so today, kind of like an ode, paying homage to the great Anthony Mason. And Anthony Mason wasn't one of the greatest players in New York sports history, but he was one of the most beloved. Once again, he wasn't the best. They didn't win any championships, but people seem to have a reverence for Anthony Mason. So today on the show, we're going to talk about the top 5 most beloved New York athletes, or at least in the last 40 or so years. And you know what? Not necessarily in the last 40 or so years, my lifetime. I'm going to kind of give you some thoughts on, when I hear people talk about New York sports, what name seems to ring out, no matter what the time, no matter what the place. So it's not going to encompass just athletes from the last 40 or so years, based on how much I hear their name, thrown out there or talked about. And once again, the reverence for said player is going to kind of comprise my list. So, yeah, today I want to get your thoughts on it as well in the chat room on Spreaker.com. The top 5 most beloved New York athletes. That's what we're going to kind of hit today in honor of the great Anthony Mason. All right, the number to the show is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. That's right, speaking of Spreaker, make sure you follow the show on Spreaker, all right? Follow the show. Go on Spreaker.com and then just do a little search for The Doug Stewart Show, and it'll pop right up. I mean, hell, we about to cross over 100,000 listens. We about to get up to 4,000 followers. We need you to follow the show, pass the word, tell people. And when you follow the show, then you can jump in the chat room. And oh boy, the chat room makes this show what it is. Dynamic. Yes, the chat room is on fire. Woo! Shouts out to everybody in the chat room again. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to read a lot of chat, but I need you to go to iTunes, man, and get your boys' weight up. I need to get my weight up in iTunes, man. Take a second to do that. It's not hard at all. Hit reviews and ratings, I think the little button says. And Tree will have some information posted for you in the chat room about how exactly you do that, man. I'm trying to get my weight up in iTunes. This is a campaign. This is a campaign. All right? Go to iTunes, man, and give your boy 5 stars. I really would appreciate it. Yes, yes. All right, when we get back from the break, man, we'll start breaking down these top 5 New York athletes, or beloved New York athletes. And we're going to talk a little NBA as well, man. LeBron and the Beard go at it. Great NBA action on yesterday. Got kind of chippy, too. We'll talk about that. Don't go away. This is The Doug Stewart Show. First of all, thank you for listening to The Doug Stewart Show. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you know that we've grown exponentially over the first couple of months. Whether that's listens, whether that's followers, we're blowing up, and you can be a part of it. If you have a company out there and you like to promote on The Doug Stewart Show, we'd love to partner with you. Here's what you do. Email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Once again, that's doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Whether that's locally, regionally, or nationally, we can get the word out. What you're talking about is middle-aged dudes that love sports and love exciting sports talk. Once again, email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. That's Doug at thedougstewartshow.com, and we will put you out there, all right? That's Doug at thedougstewartshow.com. Let's do some business. Yes!
The Doug Stewart Show.
The place where the real players play.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service.
The Doug Stewart Show.
That's a brand name. Like Pepsi, that's a brand name. I stand behind it. I guarantee it.
The Doug Stewart Show.
If you ain't stewing, what the hell are you doing? Yeah! This your boy Doug Stewart for my folks at System 5 Electronics. They're proud to offer my listeners here in the Metro Atlanta area all the way down to Macon, Georgia, the most affordable home security monitoring systems, featuring smart solutions for that busy lifestyle you lead for as low as $16.50 per month. Here's some of the reasons why you should choose System 5.
Hi, I'm Maceo Brown, President and CEO of System 5 Electronics. We take pride in making sure that security is the number one thing that we do. And thanks to you, the customer that has supported us, we have grown this company in Southwest Atlanta, where we're creating jobs and opportunities.
Not only is their monitoring station here in Atlanta, but they also install the most advanced, up-to-date alarm systems where you can access cameras, lights, door locks, thermostats, and other devices remotely with your smartphone. 24/7 technical support, plus the lowest service call fees in the business. And check this, you own the security alarm system once it's installed. And you get direct access to the owner if you ever got a problem, Mr. Maceo Brown. Click on the banner on the Doug Stewart Show website or app for more details, or give them a call at 404-756-0736. Again, that's 404-756-0736, or online at System5electronicsinc.com. That's System5electronicsinc.com. Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show, the realest, treeless sports talk show in America. Speaking of real and true, we're going to talk a little bit later about Marshawn Lynch, some of the comments that he made to the media this past weekend. Yeah. And everybody was thinking it, even Marshawn Lynch. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. We're also hitting the top 5 most beloved New York athletes of all time. But today I'm asking you to do your boy a favor and go to iTunes, man, and rate me 5 stars. I mean, doesn't this show deserve 5 stars? If you've been with us for the last 6 months since we started the show, you know how we get down around here, man. We have a lot of fun between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Doug Stewart Show. And the way we talk sports, barbershop talk, guy talk, is like no one else. I mean, no one else does it like this. I mean, absolutely no one else. So go to iTunes, man, and give your boy 5 stars. Write a nice little review. I really would appreciate it. Please do that. I mean, it's big. I mean, I'm throwing it out there for you in a cavalier type way, but I'm telling you, this is big. I really need you to take 5-6 seconds to do that for your boy. All right, 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Yesterday, the Cleveland Cavaliers fall to the Houston Rockets 105-103. And the beard, man, James Harden, 33 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Stat-stuffing day. LeBron goes off as well, 37, 8, 4, 3, and 3. The big thing about that game on yesterday, though, is LeBron couldn't hit his damn free throws. He goes 3 for 11 from the free throw line, which easily Cleveland could have won this game. At the end of regulation, LeBron shot up this three-pointer. He had Trevor Ariza guarding him. Ariza is one of the best defenders in the league. But why don't you can take Trevor Ariza. I'm sorry. Trevor Ariza is a good player. The floor was spaced out. LeBron shoots this three-pointer. I don't get it. And they blow their opportunities. And right now the Cavs are 37-24. The Rockets are 41-18. They didn't even play with Dwight Howard on yesterday. So this might be a preview to the NBA Finals. It might be. If Dwight Howard can come back and play and be healthy, this Rockets team is loaded. Fantastic players, fantastic bench players as well. Beverly had a decent game on yesterday. And if they can get back Dwight Howard, even though I'm not a fan, I mean, I could see this team, when healthy, making it to the NBA Finals from the West. I could. But I think that I would take the Cleveland Cavaliers if they were to play this matchup in the Finals. I do. The Cavaliers are just playing fantastic right now. Once again, even though they lost this game on yesterday, I think that they're the team to beat clearly. They go to the wire, go to overtime against the Rockets without one of their best player or their second best player on the team, and Kyrie Irving. So keep your eye on that. What's up? Let me get your thoughts on. I thought it was I don't know what other way to say it. I thought it was a bitch move when James Harden kicked LeBron James in the nads. Like, who does that? Like, he had like a little, I don't know, episode. Like, it seemed Dennis Rodman-ish. And, you know, Harden doesn't have that type of reputation. And, I mean, there's certain things, man, that just cross the line. And hitting somebody in that area always is a line crosser. I mean, it is. It is. And it was on purpose. I'm thinking, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, and I'm reading a lot of your chat here in a second. I'm thinking that he has to get suspended for a game. And LeBron said it afterwards. That's not a basketball play. Matter of fact, that's way beyond a basketball play. So, yeah, if you didn't see it, James Harden, LeBron was going for a ball, trying to tie him up to get a jump ball, I guess, and he was standing or hovering over James Harden, and the dude, you know, he reached up and he kicked him in the man region. That wasn't cool at all. And I love James Harden. I love his game. Nobody gets to the basket like this guy. And a lot of times I think that he's committing an offensive foul. He pushes off with his offhand, and usually he always goes down the lane, and he goes to the left side of the basket, and he lays it up with his left hand. And I always think that with his right arm, he's pushing off. It seems like he does it every single time, but they never call it. But dude gets to the basket better than pretty much anybody else in the league. Maybe LeBron does. Maybe LeBron gets to the basket a little bit better because of his size. But James Harden is a beast. But I didn't like that yesterday, man. I didn't like that at all. And then they got in another couple little skirmishes as well. It was intense. And I don't know, maybe the backdrop of all of the little flare-ups they had in this game was this race for the MVP. Now, I don't think LeBron's going to win the MVP. I think that he's just, because of the injury situation that he had this year, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, and the fact that this team got off so slow and LeBron really hadn't played his best basketball until the last couple of weeks, I don't think LeBron's going to win it. I think it's James Harden's trophy to win or to lose. And I think yesterday that was kind of in the back of their minds, and so they went after it. I mean, it was like playoff intensity. Very good basketball game on yesterday. I think right now James Harden's the guy to beat, and I think that Steph Curry is slightly behind him. Now, there's still some time left to see what these guys do, and do they have some performances that kind of catapult them over the next guy. But, I mean, Harden deserves it this year. And you know that little, I guess, debate or conversation that we have every year whenever we're watching the NBA is usually there's a guy, and this has been a smooth transition to a guy like Michael Jordan. You know he could win it every year. He's the best player in basketball. You knew that. And then a couple of years, Charles Barkley won it. I think Akeem Olajuwon won it one year. I think David Robinson won it one year. But I mean, you know Jordan was the best player in basketball, and that's kind of like a situation I think we're looking at right now. I think that LeBron clearly is the best player in basketball. I mean, I'm not going to even doubt that. But James Harden right now is doing the most for his team in a situation where there's no Dwight Howard. I think he deserves it. And his skill level is like that. I mean, James Harden is a beast. Don't let anybody fool you. This dude is a beast. And I remember when he came out of Arizona State, and I think he actually played point guard in college, or kind of like point forward where he distributed the basketball. He was a guy to facilitate it, and just a fantastic skill set, man. This guy is really coming to his own, And you remember he used to come off the bench in OKC? I don't get that. I don't get when they do that. And teams have done that many, many times where they'll bring a guy that clearly is one of the best players in the game, and they'll bring him off the bench to get this little punch from the bench. I don't like that at all. This guy was really floundering in mediocrity basically because he was a guy that wasn't featured. He was on OKC, so you got Russell Westbrook, you got Kevin Durant. Absolutely love James Harden's game, man. Best thing that he probably ever did. And I remember they were talking about, him staying in OKC, taking less money. Nah, man. I mean, go ahead, man. You got the skill set to be one of the best in the game, and I know that he's absolutely loving the fact that he is the best player on that team. You remember the conversation when Dwight went to Houston? Like, whose team would it be? Kind of like when LeBron went to Miami. Whose team would it be between LeBron and Dwayne Wade? I mean, it's not even close. And once again, not a fan of Dwight Howard. And I live in Atlanta. Know or met his father before. Great family. Obviously, kid was brought up in a great home. Not a fan of Dwight Howard, man. And his skills and where he's at with his game at this point in his career in the NBA, it's just lacking, man. It's a lot to be desired. That's James Harden's team. I mean, if there was any question this year, is going to put that to rest. 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedugstewartshow.com, but clearly a man law violation by James Harden, to say the least. All right, top 5 New York athletes. So top 5 beloved New York athletes of all time. Number 5 on my list is the great Reggie Jackson. Yes, sir. And I'm looking at, yeah. All right, so I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world. I think if I had to rank my sports, number 1 would obviously be college football, or not obvious. I think a lot of people may not even know that. Number 1 for me would be college football. Number 2 would be the NFL. Number 3 would be the NBA. Number 4 would probably be boxing. Right, I love boxing. And then maybe baseball. So I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world. Don't talk a lot of baseball because we're in the South. Everybody wants to talk football. But as far as New York athletes, this guy is probably my favorite. I guess I got the most reverence, and I've used that word a couple times a day for this guy, Reggie Jackson, man. Reggie Jackson, the 77 World Series. Reggie Jackson hits 3 home runs. That's during my wheelhouse. I was an 8-year-old kid, and baseball was real big back then, much bigger than it is right now. And Reggie Jackson hits 3 home runs in New York City, and he trots. And Reggie Jackson had swag before swag was out there as far as to talk about these athletes. And Reggie Jackson had that, man. He had his own damn candy bar. I thought that was cool as an 8-year-old kid. Hey, nobody don't have their own damn candy bar. Yes. And so Reggie Jackson, even though I think technically his best years statistically were in Oakland, and he played for a couple other teams subsequently after the Yankees, the Angels. But, I mean, Reggie Jackson, Mr. October? Yes. So he comes in at number 5 on my list of top 5 most beloved New York athletes. Yes. And so this is what I want to happen as well today. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. My man Juan Cruz in the chat room, and I'm going to read some of your chat when we get back from the break. My man Juan Cruz in the chat room, New York City's finest. Anybody else that supports and loves New York sports, give me your thoughts on my list. And this is a list from a southern boy from the low country of South Cackalack. But I'm kind of giving you a feel of what I think the pulse of New York sports fans is as far as these particular names I'm going to call out today in my top 5. All right, so we're going to do that today, have a lot of fun. When we get back from the break, let's talk a little bit about Donkey Kong Sue. Yes, Donkey Kong Sue is on the loose. If you haven't heard, we'll talk about that up next on the Doug Stewart Show. System 5 Electronics is proud to offer my listeners in the Atlanta area the most affordable home security monitoring systems, featuring smart solutions for your busy lifestyle for as low as $16.50 per month. Here's just a few reasons to choose System 5. Not only is their monitoring station located here in Atlanta, but they also install the most advanced, up-to-date alarm systems where you can access cameras, lights, door locks, thermostats, and other devices remotely with your smartphone. 24/7 technical support plus the lowest service call fees in the business. And check this, you own your security alarm system once it's installed. Not only have they been around for almost 25 years, but their customer service is excellent. And you get direct access to the owner, Mr. Maceo Brown, to resolve any issues with your alarm system. Click on the banner on the Doug Stewart Show website or app for more details, or give them a call at 404-756-0736. Again, that's 404-756-0736. And make sure and tell them the Doug Stewart Show sent you. Yes! Fantasy sports fans are winning huge cash prizes every day at DraftKings.com. America's favorite place to play daily fantasy sports. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Just pick your sport and draft your team. It's like a new season every time you play, so you're never stuck with the same players. Last year, $300 million were won at DraftKings.com, and you could be next to win big. Go to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code STU to play for free. That's STU for free entry now at DraftKings.com. Also, if you use promo code STU, DraftKings will match your initial deposit up to $600. Deposit $600, play with $1,200. DraftKings.com, promo code STU. This is your folk, Doug Stewart. Want to protect you and your family from life's unexpected mishaps? Then join 7. Join 7 is a prepaid legal company under the umbrella of the Protection Group. Join 7 is the only group benefit or motor club in the U.S. that offers auto reimbursement coverage, key replacement coverage, roadside assistance, gives you a current Medi-File, prescription savings, and fully encompassed prepaid legal benefits that include identity theft. They got you back. The average combined cost to purchase these benefits individually is over $850 a year. Join today and take advantage of all 7 for $17 a month. They've been around for over 20 years, so check them out by clicking on the banner link on my page, thedugstewartshow.com, or the app. Just go ahead and join 7. Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. Speaking of T.I., still trying to get him on the show. If you follow T.I. on Twitter, tell him to holler at his folk, man. But speaking of T.I., allegedly, man, at a concert, him and, who was it, Jeezy? And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Performed this weekend at the CIAA in Charlotte, man. Somebody started shooting up in the place, man. I mean, does that still go on? And it's crazy. We talk about it now like, man, these kids today are crazy. Man, when I was in high school, fools used to shoot up in the place. And it's bad. It's crazy. And you're talking 30 years ago. Like, come on, man. Everybody going to CIAA. And once again, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Once again, the CIAA is basically, it's homecoming. It's like a Freaknik for grown people. A little bit more classy. Not a bunch of people doing the do on car hoods like in Freaknik back in 94. But CIAA, man, is a great, great event, man. I hate to hear about things like that. And it's been all over the news, all over Facebook. They've actually got video of at this event, this concert or whatever, this mini concert, and you hear the gunshots, pap, pap, pap. You don't like to hear that. When you in a club, and I'm laughing because I don't think anybody got hurt. When you're up in a club and you're young, and you got an element of young rapper guys and young people in general, and you hear pap, 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 that's not good. That's not good. I mean, that's absolutely horrible. Y'all get a BPA for that. Y'all get a BPA nominee for that, a Boy Penis Award nomination for that. Anybody that was shooting up in the club this weekend at the CIAA. 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedugstewartshow.com. In a second, we're going to talk a little bit about Donkey Kong Sue and Dominican Sue for the Detroit Lions. But I need you to do your folk a favor, all right? Please go to iTunes, man, and give your boy 5 stars and a glaringly good rating and review. I really would appreciate it. Make sure you do that today. Go to iTunes and help your boy get his weight up on iTunes by giving me 5 stars and giving your boy a nice 1, 2, 3 word review. I really would appreciate it. So today we're talking about top 5 beloved New York athletes, kind of paying homage to the great Anthony Mason, gone too soon, 48 years old, and that's tough, man. He's you saw pictures of him, and he had picked up a lot of weight, man. Man, just do a little bit of exercise a day. I mean, a little bit. I think they say 45 minutes. Just walk around in your neighborhood for 45 minutes, man. But RIP to him, and I'm looking at his bio right now. He was actually born in Miami, Florida, but he went to high school in Queens, New York, Springfield Gardens. So that's another thing that's kind of why Anthony Mason was kind of one of those beloved Knick guys, or one of those beloved sports figures in the city. And you're hearing so much good conversation about him after he's gone, is because he was a New York guy. He played on a Knick team that had this little aura of being tough. They were scrappy. They'd foul the hell out of you. There was no layups playing against the Knicks in the 90s. I'll give them that. They didn't win a damn thing, and I think they're overhyped. They hadn't won a championship since 73, but they were tough as hell. And it was always them against the Miami Heat with Alonzo Mourning and those guys. And you remember the little squab they had with Jeff Van Gundy as the coach, and he was on the ground grabbing on somebody's ankles. It was crazy. I mean, so that was basketball in the 90s, and Anthony Mason was kind of like one of the faces of that and that style of basketball. He was a tough New York City basketball player, man. He went to Tennessee State, speaking of HBCUs. I didn't realize that. He went to Tennessee State then, okay. And Charles Oakley, I believe, went to Virginia State or Virginia Union. Pretty sure it's Virginia Union. So that's tough. You really don't see a lot of HBCU basketball players in the NBA these days and times. I mean, you don't. I mean, and it's been like that for a very, very long time. But, yeah, RIP to the great Anthony Mason. So we're talking about our top 5 New York, beloved New York athletes of all times. Give me some of your thoughts on that in the chat room on Spreaker.com from Juan Cruz. Speaking of which, I just talked about my man Juan Cruz. What up, Juan Cruz? His list, and this is a New York City guy, Juan says his list is Jeter, Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, Don Mattingly, and the mid-90s Knicks team. I guess he couldn't put one player over the other, so he said the entire 90s Knicks team. Vince Wright, Jeter and LT, Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth, okay? Kiss My Go to Hell, Jeter, Eli, LT, Ewing, and Melo. Huh? Melo? Man, you know what I mean? Beloved New York fans or New York athletes have come through, and you got Melo on the list? I don't even got Melo in my damn honorable mention. I might put Latrell Sprewell before I put Melo. Am I wrong about that? Is there more love for Carmelo Anthony that I know than I know about? You got Carmelo Anthony on your damn list. Let me see. Stagger Lee. If it wasn't, here go the great Stagger Lee. For people that don't know, Stagger Lee is basically Petro, but in a mask. Stagger Lee, if it wasn't for Robert Parrish and Sam Cassell, Anthony Mason would have lost at least one ugly man title in the NBA. Oh, damn. I mean, Tree, get on the mic for a second, Tree.
What?
Tree.
What?
Tree. I know we tried to ban Stagger Lee, quote unquote Stagger Lee, and Petro a couple of weeks ago, and we were unsuccessful. He just came back with a mask. Is there anything we can do to ban Petro for the rest of this week and Stagger Lee?
I mean, we just had another situation that you weren't aware of. There was some other nonsense ensuing. I mean, listen, Doug, if this is the show for the people,
but the man, but Tree, it's too soon. The man just died this weekend, and like they say in comedy, there's like you got to have a cooling off period. Yeah, there's a window where you just don't go there. And yes, Anthony Mason may not have won a beauty pageant, but it's too soon.
Douglas,
what can we do about this, Tree?
Douglas, a great man once said, "It's my list." Shut up. I'm gone.
That's true. Okay. All right. Thank you. Ooh, Stagger Lee. Ooh. But you know what? Tree's right. It's your list. I wish I would have proofread that before I read it. Niner for life. Mason could handle the ball to be a big man. Respect. Stagger Lee. Big ups to the folks who went to the CIAA this weekend. Ronald Cameron. Rest in peace, Anthony Mason. He was an enforcer back to those 90s Knicks teams. Yeah, and you really don't have enforcers anymore in the NBA because of the rule changes and them being so strict on hard fouls and, you can't leave the bench. Back then, man, it was like the Wild Wild West. I mean, dudes used to scrap. I talked about the little fight between the Knicks and the Heat back in the day with Mourning and all of those guys. It's just a different brand of basketball these days. Much, much softer. Mike D. Reddick, Dave Justice, Dave Winfield. Dave Justice was beloved, but I think Dave Justice will probably, if you're a sports fan, do you remember Dave Justice for being a Yankee or for being a Brave? And now I know he came to the league with the Braves, and we loved him down here, and I hate the fact that they got rid of him or let him walk or whatever the situation was where he left the team. I don't know. Let me get some more of your comments, your thoughts on that. Like Dave Justice, would he go down as in your mind, do you remember him for playing for the Knicks or for the Braves? From J.B. Jennings. James Harden definitely deserved to get his ass whooped for kicking a man in his privates. First, Dwight hits a man in his privates while the man giggles, and now Harden kicking men in their privates parts. BPA, I agree. Vince Wright, Harden gets a BPA nomination. Yes, he does. It's been noted. From Harvey Scott. Doug, remember Harden disappears in the playoffs, and his ass deserves to be fined and suspended for that BS. He's young enough where I think he still has a chance to turn his legacy around in the playoffs. I mean, James Harden's got another 10 years in the NBA of good basketball. So, you remember, everybody used to say the same thing, and I'm not, in no way am I comparing, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, in no way am I comparing Michael Jordan and James Harden. No, we're not there yet. What I'm saying is, remember, it took Michael Jordan 7 years to win his first ring. And every single year, they said the same thing whenever they got put out. Jordan's, he comes up short in the playoffs. He's a great player, he's not a good teammate. He's a ball hog. They used to call Jordan the ball hog until they started winning championships. So I think James Harden has time to change that mindset as far as his legacy going forward in the NBA. Thank you so much for the chat, man. Hit me up on the chat line on Spreaker.com. As well as you can email me at Doug@theDougStewartShow.com. This segment is brought to you by System 5 Electronics. Ooh, man. Shouts out to System 5 Electronics. They're proud to offer my listeners in the Atlanta area the most affordable home security monitoring systems featuring smart solutions for your busy lifestyle for as little as $16.50 per month. That's right. When you get down with System 5 Electronics and they install your security system, it's yours forever. There's none of that crap where if you ever decide to leave, they'll come and pull it off your wall. Nah, it's not like that. You own it forever. They've been in business for over 25 years. So listen, get down with my folks at System5electronicsinc.com. That's where you can find them at. Jump right now on your computer, System5electronicsinc.com. They'll send somebody out to your house, and they'll talk to you about your options. Great, great company, System5electronicsinc.com. All right. And Ndamukong Suh, man, will not get the franchise tag from the Detroit Lions. Now, there's been a lot of conversation and a lot of talk about the draft and all of these defensive ends, defensive linemen that are available. How would you like to be an Atlanta Falcon fan and you can get Ndamukong Suh to sign with your team? I mean, really, you're talking about somebody that's going to change the culture. And, the Falcons are always one of those teams, and I'm just using them in, for example. But the Falcons got this image of nice guys. I mean, they do. And Arthur Blank, I think that's on purpose. Arthur Blank is always talking about bringing in character guys, and they won't touch a guy that has had character issues. Based on what's happened around here over the last couple of years, you want to make a statement as far as the direction of this ball club and talking about the Atlanta Falcons or anybody else for that case that's got that image of being, a team full of nice guys, choir boys, you go ahead and you sign you Ndamukong Suh. You sign Donkey Kong Suh. Yes, an immediate facelift is what you're getting for your defense if you bring that guy in. I say do it. I say do it. It hadn't worked the way you've been doing it, Arthur. It hadn't worked. You've been damn close, and, you've done it with a lot of finesse, offense, and throwing the ball all over the place. You want a facelift as far as what your team is doing on the field and nastiness? Bring in Donkey Kong Sue. What are your thoughts about that? If you're a Falcon fan, how do you like making a run for Donkey Kong Sue, man? They couldn't give him the franchise tag in Detroit. It would have been like $26 million. So he's going to cost a lot. It's going to be a ton of money on the open market. You got to sign Julio Jones at some point very soon here. But, man, I love it. I'm a guy that always believe defense wins championships, and I really do believe that. And you win games in the trenches. And I think this would be an incredible acquisition for any team. But I'm just speaking right now as a Falcon fan. This would be a great move for the Atlanta Falcons. What are your thoughts on that when we get back from the break? I'll tell you my number 4 most beloved New York athlete of all time is. We'll read a lot of your chat, and we'll do what we do. Don't go away. This is the Doug Stewart Show. You've been thinking about starting that online store, right? And you do know e-commerce makes billions a year. That's right. I said billions with a B, okay? A B. Well, just do it and do it right with my friends at AmeriCommerce. AmeriCommerce is an easy-to-use tool to sell anything online, on Facebook, and through mobile phones. Over 100,000 merchants and website owners have chosen AmeriCommerce to handle their stores and customers. They have the most in-depth features in the industry, which include multiple storefronts, website management from one console, a Facebook shopping application, a mobilized, optimized website, and much more. Don't let eBay, Amazon, and Zappos get all the money. Get your piece of the pie, too. Click on their banner link on thedougsstewartshow.com or the app link for more details. First of all, thank you for listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you know that we've grown exponentially over the first couple of months. Whether that's listens, whether that's followers, we're blowing up, and you can be a part of it. If you have a company out there and you like to promote on the Doug Stewart Show, we'd love to partner with you. Here's what you do. Email me at doug@thedougsstewartshow.com. Once again, that's doug@thedougsstewartshow.com. Whether that's locally, regionally, or nationally, we can get the word out. What you're talking about is middle-aged dudes that love sports and love exciting sports talk. Once again, email me at doug@thedougsstewartshow.com. That's doug@thedougsstewartshow.com, and we will put you out there, all right? That's doug@thedougsstewartshow.com. Let's do some business. Yes! Fantasy sports fans are winning huge cash prizes every day at DraftKings.com. America's favorite place to play daily fantasy sports. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Just pick your sport and draft your team. It's like a new season every time you play, so you're never stuck with the same players. Last year, $300 million were won at DraftKings.com, and you could be next to win big. Go to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code STU to play for free. That's STU for free entry now at DraftKings.com. Also, if you use promo code STU, DraftKings will match your initial deposit up to $600. Deposit $600, play with $1,200. DraftKings.com, promo code STU. If you're not stewing, what in the hell are you doing? This is the Doug Stewart Show. This is a show for the people, man. The number is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougsstewartshow.com. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the Stagger Lee stuff, man. I mean, this guy Stagger Lee, he's out of control. Tree, come back on one more second. I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord. Yes, sir.
I mean, can we just nominate him for a BPA?
He wants that, though. That's
he wants
exactly
that?
what he wants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's really sad.
It's just belligerent. He's just belligerent. You know, this guy is he's a line stepper. He's an habitual line stepper. So that's what he wants. Okay, we're not going to give it to you, Stagger Lee. Matter of fact, I'm not going to even mention your name anymore this week. That's what I'm going to do.
From him.
I mean, he can post. He can post.
But you won't comment.
I'm not going to comment.
Okay, that's cool. And I'm watching him. If he gets out of line, I do have your back. I just want to, I got to be the voice of reason.
Yeah, we got to have, it can't be anarchy in the chat room. It just can't be. I mean, we just had to delete a guy's account from the chat room just now because he was showing out. Okay, so we got to have some rules and regulation. I mean, this is guy talk, and we just wild and we have a good time. But I mean, come on, man. I mean, we're running a tight ship around here. We're running a business. What we're running around here, people forget sometimes, we're running a business. Okay, and the man just died a couple days ago, and you talk about that he beat Sam Cassell in an ugly contest. I mean, that wasn't proper. That wasn't proper. I don't want the Doug Stewart Show to be known for that foolishness. You know, Tree, maybe tomorrow you could bring that up, and I might even agree with you, but not the Monday following.
Okay.
Thank
you. You're in charge. You are running it.
Okay.
So whatever you say, I just was bringing the voice of reason.
Right. Thank you, Tree. Thank you. All right, Stagger Lee. I mean, the studio audience don't like you already. I mean, you the bros, but I mean, damn, come on, bro. 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedugstewartshow.com. The big thing, though, man, is go to iTunes today. I mean, this is like your assignment. Go to iTunes and give your boy 5 stars, preferably. If you don't think this is the realest and trillest, the most unfiltered, the most fun-filled sports talk show in America, don't give me 5 stars. But if you agree with that statement, give your boy 5 stars and a quick review, all right? 1 or 2, 3 words on iTunes. I really would appreciate it. So we're talking about the top 5 most beloved New York sports figures of all times. Number 5 on my list was Reggie Jackson. Number 4 on my list is the great Lawrence Taylor, a.k.a. LT. I mean, I'm trying to think of another player in football that has the moniker, this guy changed the game, or this guy changed the way the game is played. You had to account for this guy. Okay, I came up with one just now, Deion. Okay, Deion Sanders is probably the other guy that, quote-unquote, changed the game. You know, Deion covered one half of the field. But Lawrence Taylor was such a – I mean, he was such a menace to what you were trying to do on the offense. That you had to account for him every single play. The most, I guess, the biggest name on the 2 Super Bowl winning teams of the Giants that Bill Parcells coached. Lawrence Taylor, man, the blueprint. And I mean, there's been a lot of other great players, but once again, I ask you the question, can you give me another guy that, quote-unquote, changed the game? You know, you remember they took dunking out of the NBA because Kareem, or was it college basketball? They stopped dunking. They outlawed dunking because of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Well, yeah, same thing for Lawrence Taylor. You're talking about the blueprint and a guy that you had to account for every single play at the defensive end position was Lawrence Taylor. So, and I think when even all the trouble and all of the stuff that he's gotten into outside of the game of football, New York fans still love Lawrence Taylor, man. They just do. And you got to remember now, the Giants hadn't won any Super Bowls, and he was part of this defense, and they were known for defense. Okay? You got, fantastic linebackers. You talk about Carl Banks and Harry Carson and those guys like that, man. And Lawrence Taylor was one of those dudes on that team. That you remembered as far as the defense and the way they went after and got quarterbacks. Won a Super Bowls on their defense. I mean, Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler, they were okay, but they weren't the main reasons that the New York Giants won those Super Bowls. It was because of that defense, and in particular, Mr. Lawrence Taylor. So he comes in at number 4 on my list. Yeah. Stay tuned to the show. We're going to talk about Marshawn Lynch and some of the comments that he made about that tragic last play in the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks against the New England Patriots. So we'll talk about that in a while. So stay tuned to the show. Let me read more of this chat, and I really do appreciate the chat, man. The chat is what makes this show unique, and I thank you very much for being interactive. And I like hearing your thoughts and your comments. And you're kind of like my co-host, my wingman. Between going to iTunes and giving me 5 stars and a good rating and helping this show out get to a next level, I appreciate the chat, man. JB Jennings, the GM for OKC, knows how to evaluate talent. Westbrook, Jeff Green, Durant, James Harden, Reggie Jackson, Serge Ibaka, etc. were all his picks. That's a very accurate statement. I agree. The kicking it with Kissy. Top 5 New York athletes. Yep, Reggie Jackson, Lawrence Taylor, Nate Archibald, Bernard King, honorable mention, Derek Jeter. Damn, he got honorable mention, Derek Jeter? He's got Bernard King. Now, I think there's an admiration for Bernard King, but I'm kind of factoring in, I'm putting them all in a pot, all of the variables in a pot. So the variables are, did he win championships? How much do they love him? How big is his brand? How good of a skill set did they have? All of that type of stuff. Bernard King, he was great. And I just talked about Bernard King a couple of days ago in the top 5 small forwards of all time in the NBA. And Bernard King made my honorable mention list, but I can't put Bernard King in my top 5 most beloved New York athletes of all times. And now Bernard King, I believe he was from New York. So I guess I kind of feel you on that. Admiration because, once again, like Anthony Mason, you grew up in the city. New York sports fans, they love their New York basketball players. Kenny Smith, Stephon Marbury before he started acting crazy. So I guess I kind of get that. Bernard King, I believe, is from New York City. So that gets him a couple of extra points. But the guys I got on my list, and I'm looking at my list right now, and I absolutely love my list. Reggie Jackson at 5, LT at 4. I'll tell you about number 3 here in a second that I haven't seen on nobody else's list in the chat room that I think people are forgetting about, and he's coming up number 3 on my list, but I'll tell you about that in a second. Rough Buff, Pat Ewing has to make that list. From Ed Jones, he's got Babe Ruth at 5, Bernard King at 4, Patrick Ewing at 3, Derek Jeter at 2, and Lawrence Taylor at number 1. Wow. Eugene Jackson, New York best star was Lawrence Taylor. Enough said. Gary Joyner had 5, Derek Jeter, 4, Mark Messier. Yeah, there goes a name. I can tell you right now, Mark Messier didn't make my list, but I got him on honorable mention. A lot of people will argue with you. Obviously, I'm not a hockey fan at all. A lot of people argue with you that Messier is like top 1 or 2. Not on my list. I get it, and I guess it's a New York thing and it's a hockey thing, but he didn't make my list. Gary Joyner. I have, King 50, Jeter and Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams, I didn't put him on my honorable mention list, but right now I'm going to go ahead and put him on my honorable mention list. Because, he's beloved. He's a beloved New York Met or New York Knicks player or New York Yankees player. He's a beloved New York Yankees player, but he can't make my top 5. From Donkey Kong in Atlanta, that ninja. ATL won't do it. Carolina will, though. Detroit is stupid. Eugene Jackson, Doug. Sue will look better in a Bears uniform. Oh, once again, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. He looked good in anybody's uniform, but the Bears already have a reputation of playing tough, hard-nosed defensive football. All right, so y'all already got that. Going back to the mid-'80s, or I don't know, even further back than that. But the Falcons need a little jolt of nastiness. You talk about a game changer. I would love to see him in an Atlanta Falcons uniform. Ronald Cameron, I could see New York or New England picking him up if Will Fork retires. Max Jones III. I don't think that's and talking about Donkey Kong Sue, I don't think that's a move that the Patriots would make because it's too much money. The Patriots spend wisely. They get guys that are like left on the trash heap. They get guys at the end of their career. They get guys that have had some issues other places and they sign them. And I guess a good example of that would be Darrelle Revis. They did pay him a lot of money, but a shorter-term deal. I don't know. I don't see Ndamukong Suh going to New England. New England's won championships with a lot of good to average players. I just don't see that. Now, it was kind of out of character when they signed Darrelle Revis. I get that. I don't see them doing that again with Ndamukong Suh. Kiss my go to hell. Would love it if the Falcons would do it, but they won't. Vic effed it up in Atlanta. Yeah. A lot of people do look at it like that. Like, they never, ever, ever going to mess with another controversial ninja on this team. They not. Yeah, because of Mike Vick. Because of Mike Vick. I mean, but that was an outlier. I mean, everybody don't fight dogs. I mean, everybody ain't that stupid. I mean, that was an aberration. Like, how many times your starting quarterback go to jail for fighting dogs? I mean, we've never seen that before, and we'll probably never, ever see that again. All right, you feel me? So, I feel you, and that probably is part of the conversation in the meeting rooms with the Falcon brass. We don't want to go down that road again. Ooh. I mean, come on, man. That was an outlier. Right? Yeah. All right, when we get back from the break, man, let's talk a little bit about Marshawn Lynch. It'll be hour number 2 of the show. Don't go away. The Doug Stewart Show. What is 911 Tax Relief? It's a tax relief company that can help you reduce or remove your IRS or state tax debt. They'll help stop bank levies and wage garnishments by implementing offers and compromise or penalty abatements. 911 Tax Relief is a tax relief company, but they're different from the others. Their experts are licensed, enrolled tax agents, and they also have more than 12 years' experience helping people solve their tax problems. They're a tax relief company that understands how the IRS works, and they'll also put that knowledge to work for you, so they can get you the best possible settlement or solution to your tax problems. Highly rated by the Better Business Bureau, and they've helped thousands of people solve their tax problems. So, don't play around. Click on their link on my website and let 911 Tax Relief help you in your situation with Uncle Sam.
The Doug Stewart Show.
The place where the real players play.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service.
The Doug Stewart Show.
That's a brand name. Like Pepsi, that's a brand name. I stand behind it. I guarantee it.
The Doug Stewart Show.
If you ain't stewing, what the hell are you doing? Yeah! Fantasy sports fans are winning huge cash prizes every day at DraftKings.com. America's favorite place to play daily fantasy sports. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Just pick your sport and draft your team. It's like a new season every time you play, so you're never stuck with the same players. Last year, $300 million were won at DraftKings.com, and you could be next to win big. Go to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code STU to play for free. That's STU for free entry now at DraftKings.com. Also, if you use promo code STU, DraftKings will match your initial deposit up to $600. Deposit $600, play with $1,200. DraftKings.com, promo code STU. Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. This is hour number 2. Yeah. The number is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. But the easy way to get down with the program is to jump in the chat room on Spreaker.com. Follow the show on Spreaker. All right? Follow the show on Spreaker, and then jump in the chat room and be totally interactive. Yes, sir! Woo! Tough weekend, man. Lost 3 great ones. One of the singers from from Brownstone, Maxwell, as well as Leonard Nimoy, I think the way you pronounce his name. And then we also lost, man, Anthony Mason. So kind of paying homage to Anthony Mason by talking about the top 5 New York athletes of all time. I didn't really get into a lot of conversation over the weekend about Star Trek. But Star Trek to me and Leonard Nimoy is kind of like, because it was such a time period thing, and I'm talking about the original Star Trek with Captain Kirk, William Shatner, and Leonard Nimoy and those guys. That reminds me, that takes me back to when I was 6-7 years old. Right. And I remember having a Star Trek. I think I had a Star Trek lunchbox one year when everybody used to have lunchboxes. And that's another story for another day for all of the young people listening to the show. Well, I can quickly tell that story right now. Back in the early 70s when I was in elementary school, you were judged, or your coolness was judged by how cool of a lunchbox that you had. And so I remember when I was in second grade, I had a Charlie Brown lunchbox, and Snoopy was prominently displayed on there. And then another year, I had a Star Trek lunchbox, probably in the 3rd grade. And I'll never forget when I was in the 4th or 5th grade. And it's crazy. I remember this, man. You're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. When the last lunchbox I remember having, man, was the Avengers. Yes, sir. I had the Avengers lunchbox. And that was the greatest lunchbox in the history of lunchboxes. Right, the Avengers. And so that was the bomb. But yeah, it was real cool. You were cooler if you had a cool lunchbox. If you had one that everybody else didn't have, then you were cooler. Like that Snoopy, Charlie Brown lunchbox I had, it was 8 or 9 of them in my class, man. So that was pretty lame. But that Avengers, I don't know where my mama got that one from. That Avengers lunchbox, man, I can see it right now. I can see it. That was big. When you were a kid in 76, 77, and you got an Avengers lunchbox, that's a pretty big deal. So the point is Star Trek was during that era, man, and I guess that was a groundbreaking show. Was there ever a space show like that before Star Trek? Or maybe there was in Star Trek with this visual effects, graphic effects, or whatever that they used during that show. It's real cheesy now when you look back at it, but back then it was cool as hell. The little flip phone, the little transport thing when they transported from the ship down to a planet or whatever. It was cool as hell. Spock, the Vulcan grip. I mean, so Star Trek was that show, man, and we used to watch it. Yeah. So, R.I.P. to the great Spock. And I used to give my brother that Vulcan grip all the damn time. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Yeah, I used to give him that Vulcan grip all the time. I used to put him in the figure 4. And, right around that time, he was only 3 or 4 years old, so I could easily take advantage of him. He hadn't shot past me as far as height and weight yet, clearly. And so I used to put him in the figure 4. I used to put that Vulcan death grip on him as well, Vulcan death grip on him. And so that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. And so, R.I.P. to the great Spock. 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Let me guess who this is on the line. Caller, thanks for calling the Doug Stewart Show. What's your name? Where you calling from? What you want to talk about?
What's up, D? This is Jersey, man.
How did I know Jersey Vern was going to call the show talking about his New York sports fandom?
Yeah, well, you're talking on a topic that I don't think too many people, plus you, really know what it's all about.
So let me get your thoughts on it, Vern. Let me get your thoughts.
Okay, first of all, rest in peace, Anthony Mason.
Yeah,
that was a stud right there. Second of all, this is my list: Lawrence Taylor, Derek Jeter, Willis Reed. I'm talking about people that was really meant something to the program.
Right.
Mark Messier, and I put Patrick Ewing at the end.
Okay.
But Doug, when you mentioned about that Nick run back in the days, right? You forgot they had a 15 year stretch where it started off with rough playoff games against the Pistons with Isaiah Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was the rough games against the Bulls with Michael Jordan, right? Well, we should have won at least 2 of those. And then Miami came after Pat Riley, snuck his cheese ass out of town. You know what I'm saying? That's when Van Gundy was the coach.
Right.
So that's how it really went. And you talking about not winning nothing? We went to 2 championships against back-to-back, Houston and San Antonio. So don't never count us out about far as going there. We was there. We may not won it, but we was there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And Stagger Lee, Pedro, you need to ban both of them names. If you bring up another one, we'll find them, but you need to ban them because that's totally disrespect to a New Yorker.
Hey, appreciate
and with that, I'm gone.
Appreciate the call, Vern. Vern called 404-382-0338. See, Vern acted with some sense. Everybody's playing homage to the great Anthony Mason today, and Stagger Lee, I mean, he just does what Stagger Lee does, and just crosses the line. All right, so number 3 on my list, the top 5 New York, most beloved New York athletes of all times, comes in at the great Joe Namath. I hadn't heard anybody mention Joe Namath today. Now, for the Greenhorns out there, now this was slightly a little bit before my time. But once again, I'm kind of basing my list on how much their name rings out, even though they've been gone for many, many years from the New York sports scene. And some of their contributions to sports. And this in particular is why Joe Namath made my list at number 3. Let me take you back, all right? If you don't remember, back in the 70 AFL or 1970 in the AFL, it was kind of like the AFL and the NFL. They weren't merged together. It was the AFL and the NFL. And these teams in the AFL, you know, which mostly became a lot of AFC teams later, like the Raiders and, the Chargers and all of those AFL teams. And the first 2 years of the Super Bowl, the Packers basically kicked the AFL's ass and the Chiefs both times. Okay, they beat the Chiefs one year and then they beat the Raiders. So they dominated. So basically, in effect, it seemed like, or the conversation back then during that era and talking to older people is that the AFL was an inferior product to the NFL. Okay? It was. And the AFL teams, they're whack. I mean, they got their ass kicked in the Super Bowls, okay? And then, here comes, right when everybody's thinking the AFL's a joke, here comes Joe Namath with the guarantee that the New York Jets would win the Super Bowl, and they did, and the rest is history. Yeah. Heavily favored Indianapolis Colts, or Baltimore Colts at that time. And he guaranteed the win, and they got it done, and now they all merge, and we got one NFL, and that AFL, AFC talk is no more in effect because of Joe Namath. And you talk about Joe Namath and his brand and the pimpish attitude that he displayed back when he was playing, and he was a ladies' man, and he always he wore these fur coats. He wore a fur coat. I mean, you just didn't see that. And so that's New York City. All right, Joe Namath is New York personified, flashy, braggadocious, and he actually won a Super Bowl until the Parcells teams, the Giants teams came around. New York hadn't done anything as far as Super Bowl wins. And what was that, back in 70? That was 1970? Yeah. So for a long, long time, the New York football teams in the NFL had basically, done nothing. And then Joe Namath with the guarantee, and he's still loved today. Joe Namath is looking real, real old. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. We interviewed him a couple of years ago at Jets training camp in New York, and he's humped over, man, and his face kind of looks like leather. I mean, he's not aging well. Still got his hair, though. I think that's probably a hairpiece. Old. He's just not looking good. But, I mean, one of the greatest New York or beloved New York athletes of all times is the great Joe Namath. Broadway Joe. When you get a nickname like Broadway Joe, I mean, that says it all. So he's number 3 on my list. I'll tell you number 2 and number 1 coming up next on the Doug Stewart Show. Don't go away. This your boy Doug Stewart for my folks at System 5 Electronics. They're proud to offer my listeners here in the metro Atlanta area, all the way down to Macon, Georgia, the most affordable home security monitoring systems, featuring smart solutions for that busy lifestyle you lead for as low as $16.50 per month. Here's some of the reasons why you should choose System 5.
Hi, I'm Maceo Brown, President and CEO of System 5 Electronics. We take pride in making sure that security is the number one thing that we do. And thanks to you, the customer that has supported us, we have grown this company in Southwest Atlanta where we're creating jobs and opportunities.
Not only is their monitoring station here in Atlanta, but they also install the most advanced, up-to-date alarm systems where you can access cameras, lights, door locks, thermostats, and other devices remotely with your smartphone. 24/7 technical support, plus the lowest service call fees in the business. And check this, you own the security alarm system once it's installed. And you get direct access to the owner if you ever got a problem, Mr. Maceo Brown. Click on the banner on the Doug Stewart Show website or app for more details, or give them a call at 404-756-0736. Again, that's 404-756-0736, or online at System5electronicsinc.com. That's System5electronicsinc.com.
The best of the Doug Stewart Show.
I've been talking about red rice, frogmore stew. Another one on the list, on number 13 on this list, is peanuts taste better boiled. Yes. And as God is my witness, my wife did not know people boiled peanuts and ate them. She did not. My wife's from Ohio. And yes, boiled peanuts, if cooked right, are the bomb.
Sports talk. Straight, no chaser.
All right, so I got to clear something up. And I don't even know why anybody's mind would even work like this, but evidently it's becoming a topic of conversation. In the last segment, I was talking about boiled peanuts, okay, that come from out of the ground, not boiled peanuts. And so, evidently there's some talk in the chat room about Doug talking about boiled man parts. No, peanuts. I'm trying to say it as slow as I can. Peanuts, okay? What is it, P-E-A-N-U-T-S? Peanuts. No, man, not boiled peanuts. Come on, man. And I see Vern in here. Damn you, Vern. Ugh. Y'all know what the hell I was saying. This is the Doug Stewart Show. This is your folk, Doug Stewart. Want to protect you and your family from life's unexpected mishaps? Then join 7. Join 7 is a prepaid legal company under the umbrella of the Protection Group. Join 7 is the only group benefit or motor club in the U.S. that offers auto reimbursement coverage, key replacement coverage, roadside assistance, gives you a current Medi-File, prescription savings, and fully encompassed prepaid legal benefits that include identity theft. They got your back. The average combined cost to purchase these benefits individually is over $850 a year. Join today and take advantage of all 7 for $17 a month. They've been around for over 20 years, so check them out by clicking on the banner link on my page, thedougstewartshow.com, or the app. Just go ahead and join 7. Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. Now, this is proper protocol right here. Bone Thugs and Harmony, Crossroads. Lost some great ones this past weekend, man. Charmaine Maxwell, dead at the age of 46. Kind of sketchy details on that. And me and Tree were talking about that during the break, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Get on your mic for a second, Tree. Charmaine Maxwell from Brownstone. as well as Anthony Mason, and then Leonard Nimoy passes away as well. We were kind of talking about it during the break. What are your thoughts about this this tragic death for Charmaine Maxwell?
Well, initially, I mean, first of all, how does someone lose? She fell on a glass.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
That just doesn't happen. And now they're saying that her husband found her. She was already unconscious, and in effect, she bled out. But yeah, that doesn't happen where you fall so perfectly onto a glass where it cuts you. Like, that just doesn't happen. So I'm hoping that there isn't any foul play involved with this.
Well, the police have already decided that there was no foul play. So I don't want to be like this, but in my mind, I was like, maybe it is true, because a black man would be, it would just, to me, take longer.
Right.
Well, I discovered that her husband is a Caucasian man. I'm not saying that's why it's all wrapped up nicely and no foul play, but something is awry.
Something is awry.
I'm sorry. And I mean, there's a few things out there from a couple of years ago where she was on R&B Divas with Nikki Gilbert here in Atlanta, and they were trying to revive Brownstone. And really, you don't know what people are going through when you go from the top to silence.
Yeah.
So
it's tough. Been there, done that. All right, 404-382-0338. You can also email me at Doug@thedugstewartshow.com. Talking about the top 5 most beloved New York athletes. Also, man, I'm asking you, today is a campaign, and it's an actual campaign. I'm asking all of the Stewies, all of the dogs and the poodles, to go to iTunes and give your boy 5 stars. It's very important. I mean, obviously, you understand the bigger aspect of this whole thing is it puts my ranking up higher, and so when people go and search sports shows on iTunes, the more likes and the more stars I got, the higher it'll be, and it'll give other people a better opportunity to find the show. So do me a favor, go to iTunes and give your boy a couple of 5-star ratings. Give me a 5-star rating as well as a good review, and I really would appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Pass the word. I need you to create you an account on DraftKings. That's right, on DraftKings.com. And when you do, use the promo code STEW. That's STEW. And today I've already created the Doug Stewart Show Fantasy Basketball Challenge. It's already set up. I've been on a tear. I've come in and placed in the last 2 fantasy basketball challenges that I've created. So I'm on a fire right now. Yes, sir. So create you an account. Make sure you use the promo code STEW. I really would appreciate it. And also check out my Twitter account at The Doug Stewart Show and retweet today's lucky tweet. And last thing, and I know I'm giving you a lot, the main thing is make sure to go and hook your boy up on that iTunes. But I got to tell you these things as well daily, and you're listening to The Doug Stewart Show. Also, follow The Doug Stewart Show Facebook group on Facebook. There we go. That's everything. Facebook, Twitter, DraftKings, and the big thing is to make sure and give me 5 stars on iTunes. I really would appreciate it. So we're talking about the top 5 beloved New York athletes of all times. And also, I'll give you my number 2 guy here in a second, but we're also talking about these sports, obviously. That's what we do around here. Marshawn Lynch, in an interview with NTV Sport, SPOR, Turkey's leading sports network, and I guess he's over there with former Carolina Panthers running back D'Angelo Williams and Cleveland Browns tight end Gary Barnidge for an American football without barriers camp in the country. That's the reason he's there, a little promotional type thing. They asked him about that last play and the fact that he didn't get the ball, and Marshawn said, quote, "To be honest with you, I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I was expecting the ball." Yes, I was expecting the ball, but in life, these things happen. Like I told a reporter after the game, it's a team sport, he said in the interview. And then he went on a little bit further, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. I had no problem with the decision of the play calling. I mean, I think it was more of a, how do I say this? When you look at me run the ball, and I'm in the face of the nation, you know, MVP of the Super Bowl, that's pretty much the face of the nation at that point of time. Yeah. So, in effect, Marshawn Lynch is saying what exactly the Doug Stewart Show said. Yes! And from what I understand, this guy's a huge The Doug Stewart Show listener. Yes! And this is what I said, and a couple other people jumped on the bandwagon too a little bit later. But I said it. And now, Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, and Pete Carroll, the head coach, they'll never, ever admit to it. But here's the reason why I think that there's some truth to this whole conspiracy that they didn't want Marshawn Lynch to be the Super Bowl MVP, thus the hero of the game, because of the way he's been acting a donkey over the last couple of years to the press and how he acted that week at the Super Bowl. Yeah. The reason is because if that's not the case, then what was the reason on why you threw a slant on the 1-yard line at the end of the Super Bowl? There's no plausible reason. So it has to be something not plausible. It has to be. And they can talk their ass off about, yeah, we thought it was a good play, and the numbers show this, that, and the other. No, you throw all those stinky, crappy numbers out of the window in that scenario, okay? So if there's not a legitimate reason that we can come up with as fans and as watchers of that Super Bowl on why they did that play in that scenario, then it has to be something not reasonable. And the not reasonable explanation is that they did not want to have Marshawn Lynch trotted out there in front of the world to accept or not accept, probably in his case, a trip to Disney World and be the mouthpiece and the MVP of said Super Bowl. And I know, yeah, this kind of conspiracy theory-ish, I don't care. And I believe it. And Marshawn Lynch, evidently, he tends to believe it as well. 404-382-0338 is the number to the show. And I really love the fact that, you know, Marshawn has this beef with the media, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. I really like the fact that he went to another country and just give a balls-to-the-wall interview to anybody. That's like a big F-U to American media, man. I mean, this guy does an interview with the sports network in Turkey before he'll do it with anybody here in this country. Hey, I ain't mad at you, man. From KC2, if the Falcons sign Sue, then Drew Brees, Cam Newton and Jameis Winston better be careful because Sue is going to get 2 chances to stomp on their arms from that ninja. You can't blame Vic for the current team's shortcomings. Feel free to blame Matt Ryan, though. Kiss. King Kane. Sue is going to a highest bidder. He already said in not so many words that his agent is picking his team, i.e. highest bidder. Gary Joyner says, I would love to have Donkey Kong Sue in a New York Giants uniform, but highly unlikely. They just franchise, and I'm going to read some of the franchise names a little bit later in today's show, or it's got to be pretty soon because we're almost done with the show in about 30 minutes. But the New York Giants have made some real big moves as far as franchise, and I'll tell you about that once again in a little while. Gary Joyner, or Tasmanian Devil. Top 5 New York players: Mark Messier, number 5. Number 4, Patrick Ewing. Number 3, Babe Ruth. Number 2, Reggie Jackson. And number 1 is Lawrence Taylor. Let me go ahead and tell you who my number 2 guy is on my list of top 5 most beloved New York sports guys, athletes of all time. His number 2 comes in at Derek Jeter. Once again, let me give you a little history on why. Well, first of all, you saw Derek Jeter retire this year. It was on the retirement circle, and everybody just such admiration for Derek Jeter. And now remember this now. When Jeter came into the league, and I'm pretty sure this was a chronological order, he came in after the Don Mattingly years, which were, for the most part, a down era in New York Yankee baseball. What, they've got 25, 26 World Series championships. And so Mattingly was a fantastic player. Everybody knows that. But they didn't win World Series when Mattingly was at the height of his career. And here comes Derek Jeter, and they win 5 World Series, and the rest is history. So, I mean, absolutely, the New York fans appear to me to have a love affair with Derek Jeter like nobody else. 14-time All-Star, once again, 5-time World Series champion, Rookie of the Year in 96, 5-time Gold Gloves, 5-time Silver Slugger. So, Derek Jeter is class personified. And that's the thing they always talk about when you talk about Derek Jeter, is class. Really one of those guys that came through during the wheelhouse of the performance-enhancing drugs, controversy in baseball, and never nabbed for that type of stuff. He's the guy that you put up there as far as the face of baseball, New York. I mean, he brought 5 rings to New York, to the Yankees, and that's all you really need to get on my list as far as I'm concerned. And there's just a big admiration for him. So Derek Jeter comes in at number 2 on my list of beloved New York athletes. When we get back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about some of these franchise tags or not franchise tag players in the NFL. Don't go away. The Doug Stewart Show. First of all, thank you for listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you know that we've grown exponentially over the first couple of months. Whether that's listens, whether that's followers, we're blowing up, and you can be a part of it. If you have a company out there and you like to promote on the Doug Stewart Show, we'd love to partner with you. Here's what you do. Email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Once again, that's doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Whether that's locally, regionally, or nationally, we can get the word out. What you're talking about is middle-aged dudes that love sports and love exciting sports talk. Once again, email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. That's doug@thedougstewartshow.com, and we will put you out there, all right? That's doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Let's do some business. Yes!
The Doug Stewart Show.
The place where the real players play.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service.
The Doug Stewart Show.
That's a brand name. Like Pepsi, that's a brand name. I stand behind it. I guarantee it.
The Doug Stewart Show.
If you ain't stewing, what the hell are you doing? Yeah! This your boy Doug Stewart for my folks at System 5 Electronics. They're proud to offer my listeners here in the Metro Atlanta area all the way down to Macon, Georgia, the most affordable home security monitoring systems, featuring smart solutions for that busy lifestyle you lead for as low as $16.50 per month. Here's some of the reasons why you should choose System 5.
Hi, I'm Maceo Brown, President and CEO of System 5 Electronics. We take pride in making sure that security is the number one thing that we do. And thanks to you, the customer that has supported us, we have grown this company in Southwest Atlanta, where we're creating jobs and opportunities.
Not only is their monitoring station here in Atlanta, but they also install the most advanced, up-to-date alarm systems where you can access cameras, lights, door locks, thermostats, and other devices remotely with your smartphone. 24/7 technical support, plus the lowest service call fees in the business. And check this. You own the security alarm system once it's installed. And you get direct access to the owner if you ever got a problem, Mr. Maceo Brown. Click on the banner on the Doug Stewart Show website or app for more details, or give them a call at 404-756-0736. Again, that's 404-756-0736, or online at System5electronicsinc.com. That's System5electronicsinc.com. If you're not stewing, what the hell are you doing? This is the Doug Stewart Show. The realest, the treeless sports talk show in America. The most fun as well. It's guy talk around here, man. That's what we do. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Shouts out to everybody in the chat room. Thank you so much. I really, really do. Thank you. I mean, I appreciate it so much. The number is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedugstewartshow.com. We're talking about the top 5 in honor of Anthony Mason passing away this weekend. We're talking about the top 5 most beloved New York athletes of all times. Number 5 on my list is Reggie Jackson. Number 4 is Lawrence Taylor. Number 3 is Joe Namath. Number 2 is Derek Jeter. And number 1 on my list, and I'm going to read some of your chat here in a second, get your thoughts. Number 1 on my list of top 5 most beloved New York athletes of all times is the great Babe Ruth. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, Doug, this man played almost 100 years ago. How do you have him at number 1 on your list of top 5 most beloved New York athletes of all times? And it's very simple. Because Babe Ruth, unlike all of these other guys on my list, and even the guys in my honorable mention, what I'll talk about in a couple of minutes, Babe Ruth is kind of like he's mythical. Like, when people talk about Babe Ruth, it's almost like this guy didn't even exist. It was like he was some type of character made up in a book. The reverence for this guy, once again, almost 100 years later in playing baseball. Babe Ruth is basically the starting point of the Yankees and Red Sox rivalry. When the Red Sox traded him, the curse of the Bambino, all of that stuff. Not only that, the man hit 659 home runs, with that record stood for a long, long, long time. Okay, since PEDs and all of that conversations happened over the last decade or so. And once again, the biggest thing is everybody I got on my list is they're mortal. Like, Babe Ruth isn't mortal. Like, the way they talk about Babe Ruth, once again, is like he's, I don't know, a Greek god, like he's the son of Zeus or something like that. Like, the man isn't even real. And how much and how big his brand and his name is to baseball. If you listen to those baseball dudes on the Puppet Factory and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, if you listen to those guys, the older guys, not the guys that played the game, the guys that did this for a living, or columnists or reporters or baseball insiders that never played pro baseball, they're just baseball geeks. They're baseball purists. They still talk about Babe Ruth like he's the best thing that ever happened to the game since sliced bread. Still in 2015, okay? So you're talking about the man played for the Yankees back in the early 1900s. Once again, his legacy to the game is so big. So I'm putting Babe Ruth at number 1 on my list of top 5 most beloved New York athletes. I mean, you got to do a lot to stay relevant 100 years later. That's all I know. You got to do a lot, and I mean a lot, and you have to have been a pretty big deal to still be relevant and to still have people talking in such glaring terms about you and your game 100 years later. I mean, that's all. So that's my list. Number 5, Reggie Jackson. Number 4, Lawrence Taylor. Number 3, Joe Namath. Number 2, Derek Jeter. And number 1 is Babe Ruth. And I kind of gave a little bit added extra weight to baseball guys because I think New York is a baseball town. And I talked about that earlier. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. I talked about that earlier and how sports radio in New York and the New England area is so different than what it is down here and down south. And baseball, which is crazy, I think maybe in that part of the country, that baseball is probably more popular still or nowadays than football is. And you can't say that about really anywhere else in the country. But, yeah, they love their baseball in New York, man. And so that's why I got 3 baseball guys in my top 5. They absolutely love their baseball in New York, man. They do. And I understand why. I mean, all of the World Series championships by the Yankees, I get it. And so, yeah, Reggie Jackson, number 5. Number 4, LT. Number 3, Joe Namath. Number 2, Derek Jeter. And number 1 is Babe Ruth. Let me read some of your chat here. It's a ton of chat today. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. In a second here, we're going to talk about some of these guys being placed in with the franchise tag and some of these guys that didn't get the franchise tag and what that means for other teams in the NFL. and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. But let me read some of this chat. Gary Joyner, I forgot about Mark Bavaro. He gets honorable mention. I had Mark Bavaro on my honorable mention list. I'll read that for you in the next segment. Niner for life. No Walt Frazier. We'll see. Griff, Joe Namath. Somebody did mention Joe Namath, and this is some chat that was from earlier in the chat room, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. From Rough Buff, basketball is king in New York City, and Bernard King gets the nod, Doug. I didn't see it that way. I got him on my honorable mention. I do. Al the Bandit, I guess that as far as New York goes, one of the most beloved has to be the great Willie Joe Namath. He screams New York with how bold he was. That's exactly right. Mike D. Reddick, is the Falcons' goody two-shoes image due to Blanks or Mike Smith? Nah, I think it's more so Arthur Blank. I think it's more so Arthur Blank than Mike Smith. And Mike Smith's been fired now. I think it's Arthur Blank. And I do think that a lot of it has to do with the fact of what went down with Mike Vick. And that it was just so much bad press. And I don't know why it's considered bad press for the Falcons or for Arthur Blank. I mean, nobody thinks that they were helping Mike Vick fight dogs. I mean, I don't get that tie at all. And I know it's not good press, but at the same time, man, any press out there about your team and talking about your team and going forward subsequently, man, the Falcons had a great reputation. And I don't think anybody looked, down on Arthur Blank or the organization because of the foolishness Mike Vick was involved with. I just don't believe that at all. Sluggo, that ninja is on spot regarding Babe. He didn't play against the best of the best. He's more mythical than anything. Yeah, that might be the case. Clearly, they didn't play against black players back when Babe Ruth played. But once again, that goes back to the point about how mythical Babe Ruth is. It's almost like Babe Ruth isn't a real baseball player. Like he was something above baseball players. You let sports fans in New York tell you, and sports columnists and people in the sports industry, baseball purists. From Jungle Brother, my top 5, Willie Randolph. Homegrown New Yorker. Clyde the Guide. Had the best shoes before Nike came out. LT because he's LT. Ewing, his name speaks for itself. Mike Tyson, undisputed heavyweight champ. Raw Dog, Robin Givens on the first night. Enough said. Raw Dog. You probably only hear terms like Raw Dog on the Doug Stewart Show. I'm telling you that. Yeah. Well, where's that coming from? Where you getting that from? That he went hatless with Robin Givens on the first night. That's funny. Let me read some more of this chat here on the Doug Stewart Show. A ton of chat. I'm trying to read a lot of it. Casey, Doug, you live large. My mama never bought me a lunchbox. Wanted that Evel Knievel real bad. Ooh, yes. You went back. Man. The only thing better than an Avengers lunchbox back in 1976 was that Evel Knievel lunchbox. I can see it right now. Yes, and we did a show a while back, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. We did a show a while back on, I can't remember what the conversation or the topic was, the top 5 was on the Evel Knievel's name came up. But yeah, Evel Knievel was kind of a big deal. In 76, he was. And, yeah, my little friend at the time, he actually turned out to be one of my best friends ever, James. I'll call his name, James Middleton. I think James Middleton had that Evel Knievel lunchbox, man, and that thing was so classic, yeah. That Ninja lunchbox is damn. I had a GoBots. It was red and plastic. Kiss My Go to Hell. I had He-Man and the Rambo. Ooh. So, wait a minute. Rambo was a little bit later. So, they were still doing lunchboxes then? And now, I don't know the lunchboxes that came after my – see, in my era, lunchboxes were like 10. Like they were like 10, made of 10, and they were hard. And I think later they changed the style and they made them softer or whatever, man. But back then, man, it was – and from what I understand, like lunchboxes, like those throwback lunchboxes, they're kind of like collector's items now. Like they cost a lot of money to buy now. If you buy the authentic lunchboxes from the early 70s, like they're collector's items. So if you got one hanging around your mama house in the basement or something like that, look it up and see how much you can get for it on eBay. Chances are you might be able to get a lot. I don't know where mine are. I don't. I've looked for them before. When I first heard that conversation about them being sold for a lot of money on eBay, and my mama threw them out. I hate that. Why your mom always throwing stuff out, man? Stuff like that? Don't throw that stuff out. Jungle Brother, my lunchbox was some aluminum foil wrapped around a chicken leg and some Wonder Bread. That's funny, Jungle Brother. Yeah. Like, I got one of my lunchboxes for Christmas one year. That's how big of a deal it was. Yeah. I got one for Christmas. I remember getting one for, and I had like 3 or 4, like I told you earlier. And I remember getting one for like my birthday. It was a big deal, man. It was a big deal in the early 70s to get one of those lunchboxes. All right, man. I mean, you see what I'm talking about, man. The funnest show on turf, the Doug Stewart Show. The show's gone already. All right, so we get back. We'll talk a little bit about these franchise tag players, and I'm going to run through as fast as I can my honorable mention list for top 5 most beloved New York athletes. Don't go away. This is the Doug Stewart Show. System 5 Electronics is proud to offer my listeners in the Atlanta area the most affordable home security monitoring systems, featuring smart solutions for your busy lifestyle for as low as $16.50 per month. Here's just a few reasons to choose System 5. Not only is their monitoring station located here in Atlanta, but they also install the most advanced, up-to-date alarm systems where you can access cameras, lights, door locks, thermostats, and other devices remotely with your smartphone. 24/7 technical support, plus the lowest service call fees in the business. And check this, you own your security alarm system once it's installed. Not only have they been around for almost 25 years, but their customer service is excellent. And you get direct access to the owner, Mr. Maceo Brown, to resolve any issues with your alarm system. Click on the banner on the Doug Stewart Show website or app for more details, or give them a call at 404-756-0736. Again, that's 404-756-0736. And make sure and tell them the Doug Stewart Show sent you. Yes! Fantasy sports fans are winning huge cash prizes every day at DraftKings.com. America's favorite place to play daily fantasy sports. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Just pick your sport and draft your team. It's like a new season every time you play, so you're never stuck with the same players. Last year, $300 million were won at DraftKings.com, and you could be next to win big. Go to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code STU to play for free. That's STU for free entry now at DraftKings.com. Also, if you use promo code STU, DraftKings will match your initial deposit up to $600. Deposit $600, play with $1,200. DraftKings.com, promo code STU. This is your folk, Doug Stewart. Want to protect you and your family from life's unexpected mishaps? Then join 7. Join 7 is a prepaid legal company under the umbrella of the Protection Group. Join 7 is the only group benefit or motor club in the U.S. that offers auto reimbursement coverage, key replacement coverage, roadside assistance, gives you a current Medi-File, prescription savings, and fully encompassed prepaid legal benefits that include identity theft. They got your back. The average combined cost to purchase these benefits individually is over $850 a year. Join today and take advantage of all 7 for $17 a month. They've been around for over 20 years, so check them out by clicking on the banner link on my page, thedougstewartshow.com, or the app. Just go ahead and join 7. The place where the real players play. This is the Doug Stewart Show. And Man Talk Monday, March 2nd, 2015. A lot of fun today, man, as we do every day. Talking about the top 5 most beloved athletes in New York history. I'm going to give you my honorable mentions here in a second. But a breaking news. Yeah, we got some breaking news. So I wasn't going to mention it until I got word from him to go ahead and mention it and promote it a little bit. But tonight on FS1, Fox Sports 1, the exact same show that I did probably 3 weeks ago now, the Countdown Show on Fox Sports. Little brother Ryan Evan Stewart is doing the show tonight. He's in L.A. That's right. So he's doing the show tonight. And once again, I wasn't going to say anything until he started talking about it a little bit. And so I got word that he is talking about it a little bit. So check it out tonight. Just like me a couple of weeks ago on FS1, the Countdown Show comes on 9 p.m. West Coast time, so 12 a.m. East Coast time. So set your DVR. Ryan Evan Stewart is doing the Countdown Show on FS1. That's what's up. Yeah. And conspiracy theorists are going crazy. Ooh, yeah. So I did it a couple weeks ago, and Ryan's going to do it tonight. So check it out. Check out Little Bubba. Set your DVR and get down with FS1's Countdown Show. All right. So let me run through my honorable mentions here on my top 5 beloved New York athletes. And I did this today, kind of like paying homage to Anthony Mason, who passed away this past weekend, which is real sad. I think he was 48 or 49 years old, real sad. So number 5 on my list was Reggie Jackson. Number 4 was Lawrence Taylor. Number 3, Joe Namath. Number 2, Derek Jeter. And number 1 on my list was the great Babe Ruth. All right, some other guys that made the honorable mention, Mark Bavaro, as we mentioned earlier, somebody in the chat room. Anthony Mason, obviously. Mark Messier. I read a couple of lists and doing some research and just trying to refresh my memory on some guys I may have forgot about earlier. A couple of lists I saw, they had Mark Messier at number 1, which is huge as far as sports guys, beloved sports guys in New York. I was shocked about that because, I mean, it is hockey. And, yeah, they may love hockey in New York and in that part of the country, and it's got a big legacy as far as the sport. They've had one of those teams that have been around from the very beginning. But, yeah, I was shocked to see that. So I guess it's a New York thing. Willis Reed, obviously, for Willis Reed in the championship, in the NBA championship, where he came back the injury and sparked his team on to victory in that series. Joe DiMaggio, a lot of baseball guys. Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra. Then you got Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, another guy on those 90s Knicks teams. Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan gets some love, especially with his brand after he's left football. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Michael Strahan is Mr. New York now. Tom Seaver, pitcher, as well as Walt Frazier, make my list of honorable mentions for most beloved New York athletes of all times. Yes, sir. Yeah. So that's good stuff, man. Had a lot of fun with that today. Also, let me talk quickly about some of these guys, the veteran cuts in the NFL. Of note, Darnell Dockett. Yeah, you know he had the ACL injury. He didn't play at all last year. Is going to set to make $6.8 million this year. This is a guy that's been in the league for over a decade. He was cut by the Arizona Cardinals. Brian Hartline from the Dolphins. Steven Jackson, you know about from the Atlanta Falcons. Chris Canty. I actually went to school with his brother when I was in college, so I know Chris pretty well. I'm going to try to get him on. Played for the Baltimore Ravens over the last couple of years. Ted Ginn. Harry Douglas was another guy cut this past weekend by the Atlanta Falcons. That actually happened late Friday afternoon, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. When I think of Harry Douglas, man, I just think solid, man. Just a pro's pro. And thanks to Harry Douglas for all that he did for the Atlanta Falcons over the last couple of years, man. And now he was making close to $4 million. And the reason why I think that he got so much for a third-string receiver, pretty much, was because over the last couple of years, Julio and Roddy White have always been nicked up, seemingly. And so you had to have a solid backup in there that could come in and play a position, one of those X or Y positions on the offense, because you never knew when those guys would go down. And now Roddy's getting kind of long in the tooth. And once again, Julio's been hurt ever since he came out of college. Foot, ankle injury. So Harry Douglas, man, great Atlanta Falcons. Once again, thanks for all that he did for the organization. Maybe he'll go out and get some money. Maybe Harry Douglas can be a number 2 receiver on a team. I don't know. I think kind of questionable. He's borderline number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. But thanks to Harry for all that he did for the team. Also, A.J. Hawk was cut by the Packers. Reggie Bush by the Detroit Lions. Do you think Reggie Bush still got something left in the tank? Huh? Would you like to see him here? I don't know, maybe in Atlanta? I don't think so. I think that Freeman and Smith are guys that do pretty much what Reggie Bush does, and they're much, much younger and going to have a much lower cap hit. So I don't think so. But Reggie Bush will get a job somewhere else. He's been a much better pro later in his career than when he first came into the league, in my opinion. Anthony Fasano also was released as well. Jacoby Jones, I think we mentioned that a couple of days ago. Peyton Hillis and Matthias Kaiwanuka from the New York Giants. Now, Jason Paul-Pierre was actually, or is going to get that franchise tag, and a lot of guys are going to get the tag, and I think the deadline to do that is 4 p.m. today, so we're going to keep our eyes on that. But obviously the big news today is Ndamukong Suh is not going to get the franchise tag. Another guy that is going to get it too as well, the Cowboys have already come out with, is Dez Bryant. He is going to get the tag today by 4 p.m. But yeah, the big news is Ndamukong Suh. Would you like to have him on your team? Ooh-wee. And I think it's something that the Falcons should try to do. I really do. I really do believe that. You got to change the culture around here. The culture around here just says too nice, too prissy, not mean enough, not nasty enough. You want a straight injection of nastiness and meanness and step on you when the play is over, and productive. We can't just talk about Ndamukong Suh as being this nasty, no sportsmanship type guy on and off the field. We got to talk about the fact that this guy is solid as hell, one of the best defensive tackles in the game right now. Probably top 1 or 2, I don't know. Plays differently, more so than J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt kind of strikes me as a guy that can come on the edge as well. And Ndamukong Suh is all push up the middle. It's all man push up the middle, push your center 5 yards back in the backfield. Disruptive plays. I mean, just screwing the play up. And that's what this guy does. And he gets sacks. And he defends against the run as well. So, yeah, I would love that if the Falcons were to make a move to try to bring in Ndamukong Suh. It's going to take a lot of money. But I think if you're trying to instill a mindset of defense with this new defensive coordinator as your head coach and Dan Quinn, you want to bring that toughness like they had in Seattle out there, you bring in Ndamukong Suh. I really, really love that. This is the Doug Stewart Show, and this is a Man Talk Monday. I'm going to read some more of your chat before we get out of here. And once again, make sure, don't forget, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you go to iTunes and help your boy up, get his weight up a little bit, and rate the show with 5 stars or more. I don't think you can rate it with more than 5. So 5 stars, that would be greatly appreciated, as well as give me a nice quick little review on the show on iTunes. That would help me out tremendously. From Eugene Jackson, Doug, Marshawn Lynch agreed to do the interview because it gave him a chance to promote his brand in a different market. Okay. From KC, Lynch talking to the media in Turkey. That ninja really pissing off the man, American media. Juan Cruz, Doug, it's not a baseball town. The issue is the Knicks suck, and everyone follows it. New York is a basketball town. Yeah, and I guess I do agree with you to a point. But the problem is just what you said, Juan Cruz. The problem is you haven't had really no success over the last 40 years. Okay, in baseball. I mean, with all the success that the Yankees have had, man, and even the Mets getting a World Series win as well, I get it. I get it. So, yeah. But, yeah, baseball, man, is just so big. Talking about New York, for people that just, I don't know, maybe you just tuned into the show. I talked about how, in my mind, New York is a baseball town. I think if you basically parallel it along with New York, and supposedly New York is this big basketball town, New York just hadn't had the success in basketball that the Yankees had. Not even an ounce of success that the Yankees have had in that city. From Scotty, didn't Babe Ruth hate ninjas? No, man, Babe Ruth was a ninja. What are you talking about? Vince Wright, well said, Doug. It's Babe's World. Casey, you need to get Brother Babe on the show soon. We do need to get Brother Babe on the show, but you know what? Since I've been doing the Doug Stewart Show, man, these guys, they've been negotiating very sternly, man, with my agent and with the producers to the show. Like, they want They want a taste. They want a taste. Yes. And so we're still working on Babe Ruth, Jorge, my nephew. We're working on all those guys. Yao Ming, we're working to get them on, man. It's been 6 months, and we're still at a standstill. We're still at an impasse as far as getting these guys on the show. John Fisher, no Mariano Rivera. Yeah, he should go on my honorable mention list as well. Still couldn't beat my top 5 or crack my top 5. And Gary Joyner, the baseball geeks are fools that have the audacity to keep baseball greats out of the Hall of Fame. Yeah, more so than any other sport in this country is baseball purists, quote-unquote purists, have these quote-unquote ethics. Yeah, so Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds and Rafael Palmeiro, they're not getting in, man. They're just not. Hey, man, thank you so much for joining me today on The Doug Stewart Show. Make sure you check out Ryan tonight on FS1, The Countdown Show. And make sure also you go into iTunes and give your boy 5 stars. That would really, really help me a lot. In all seriousness, man, we're really, really trying to push the weight of the show on iTunes, so make sure you do that. Thank you, Tree, for all that you did today. Shouts out to Waterhead Walter. Thank you, Waterhead. Shouts out also to Dwayne Bassan and Gerald Oliveri, my engineering tech guys. Thank y'all so much. And to all of the dogs and the poodles, we'll do it again tomorrow on a Tight to Death Tuesday. Same Doug Stewart time, same Doug Stewart channel. Peace.